So what I've done is I've looked online already, and I've gone to Google, and I found myself a pattern that I like. I think it's important for you before you start coloring to find a pattern or a design that you want to use as your swatch. Just as the other assignment that I did over there and I showed you earlier, we're going to be creating activewear fit that has a pattern or a design in it, and we're going to find those patterns and designs on the computer. Just think of yourselves as fashion designers who are going out to buy fabric. We're now searching for fabric. Now, one of the things I wanted you to keep in mind is you might want to search for this pattern and find the pattern you want to use before you start coloring your design. For me, I've already found one. I searched, bright geometric design pattern, found this. If you search the word pattern or add any other word to it, you're going to find a variety of them. You want to make sure you save them and then open them up in Photopea. With that, I started working on my drawing already. I have my drawing done. I brought it into Photopea. I started painting it. And it's a fairly simple design. Like I told you with the activewear, the actual garment itself does not have to be like radical or really designy. What we want to do is we want to think about colors and patterns and how we're going to use them. So what I've done on my particular drawing is I've divided up an area, one panel which could be a color or a pattern, and another panel which could be another color or a pattern. Now I want to paint all of this before I add my pattern to it, but you might want to have your pattern on hand so you can pick colors from it. To do that, what I'm going to do is I have obviously two files, actually more than two files open here, but I'm going to go to my pattern, and to select all of this pattern, I'm going to press Control and then the letter A, like all. When I do that, you're going to see a dashed line all around the rectangle edge of your picture. That dashed line means it's been selected. The next thing I'm going to press is Control C for copy. We've used that function before. You probably use it in other programs. Control C to copy. I'm going to go back to my other project, and I'm going to press Control V. That is for pasting, and it's V, not P, so Control V like victory. Now when you do that, your pattern swatch, whatever you found, should paste up and appear right on your project. It will appear dead center. You can see it's on its own layer right now, and what I recommend to you to do is go over to that layer, double click on the word layer, and rename it pattern. We're going to have a lot of different layers, and because of that, I think it's a lot easier to make sure that they're labeled. Now, as you can see, your picture might have popped up really, really big, almost too big to cover the screen, or it might pop up smaller like mine did. For the purposes of our working, we want to get it out of the way. So we're going to go up to our Move tool, which is the first tool on our toolbar. We're going to click on the Move tool, and we're just going to move this to the side. It doesn't disappear all the way out here, but you don't want to put it all the way off screen. I want it sort of slightly in the background so I can still see it. Now what I want to do is I want to start painting the rest of this outfit. I'm going to want to take some colors or match the colors to this. Now we already know that we can pull up the color picker and slide our color selector any which way we want and try to find a color that we like. But if you have a pattern you like and you want to use the exact color on that pattern, what you can do is you can click directly on that part of the image. So once again, I'll pull up my color picker, and right now, instead of using the slider and clicking around in my option area, I'm going to click directly on the photograph. And when I click on different spots, you can see it automatically matches the color I'm clicking on. So if I click around on a variety of different areas, you can see that I can match the color from my pattern. And that might be very helpful for you guys in terms of actually painting your figure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to settle on one of the colors that I like the best. In this case, I think I like this sort of darkish teal that I clicked on. And I'm going to hit OK. Now that I have that, I'm going to start painting. And again, I want to create a new layer. I do not want to paint on the pattern layer. And I think the best thing to do is to keep separate layers for different things. In this case, you can see I have my skin on a separate layer and my hair on a separate layer. So I'll go down here to create a new layer. And that's a new layer option. That is the rectangle with the little triangle folded up. You've used it before. I'm going to click it once. Actually, I double-clicked accidentally. I can always delete that with our waste paper basket or press Ctrl-Z. I've created a new layer, and I'm going to name this layer Top. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and do my painting. And I'm going to go grab the paintbrush. I've got my color already. I'll resize my paintbrush, and I'll start painting. Now remember, when you start painting, you're not going to be able to see through your painting unless you go to the layer window and change normal to multiply. You see right away, once I click multiply, you can now see the lines underneath. If you keep things on separate layers, it's a lot easier to fix things. So like, for example, if I accidentally go over the body over here, instead of pressing Ctrl-Z to fix it, what I can do is I can go switch over to my eraser tool and erase. If this was all on one layer, it would erase everything. But since I have the top on one layer and the skin on another, I can grab my eraser tool and just come back in here and erase that part. And it will not affect the skin because the skin is on its own layer. If I did that a different way, I would have to go back and carefully repaint all that. It's just something I don't want to waste time with. Now, one of the things I want you to keep in mind is we are going to add this pattern to your design at one point. All right. Now, to do that, there are actually a lot of different ways to do it and a lot of different ways to do it effectively. I'm going to show you how to do that tomorrow, but to make that process easier, what I'm going to tell you is you want to color the area that you're going to use the pattern on with something. Doesn't matter what color you use, but let's just say I want to use this pattern in this part of my painting. It's important that I pick a color and paint that. Now, an important thing to think about is that color should be different than whatever the other panel is going to be. So in this case, this part of our top I think I'm going to keep teal, but this part underneath her armpit, this is an area where I do want to kind of make it the pattern. So because I'm going to make that a pattern, I want to get in there and paint it with a different color. If you're sure this is the area you want to use a pattern in, it actually does not make a difference what color you pick for this. The only thing that's important is that color is different from the other parts of your project. If they too closely match the front piece on this or the skin color, well, then it'll create problems later on for us. So what we do want is we want to just paint our new active wear design as we would have painted the previous designs. So I have that done. I'm going to do the same thing down here, and what I think I'm going to do is keep this one stripe going. I'll create a new layer. I'll call that bottom. I'll change normal to multiply, and then I'll go ahead and start painting. And if I decide I want to switch back to the other color, then I'll just hit my color picker and then click on the color I want to match. And when I do, it'll automatically match it. And I can come back and paint. All right. So once you are done with the pencil drawing of your design, you should be photographing that pencil drawing and uploading it to the assignment. Once that's handed in, you can take your original pencil drawing and bring it into Photo P and start painting it exactly the same way as you did for the previous project. One thing I will add is that you should find a pattern that you like. Although we can go ahead later on and change the colors easily, and that's why we're painting on separate layers, I think it is helpful to have your pattern before we start painting. One of the reasons is, well, you want the rest of your painting to match your pattern, and two, you can literally borrow the color exactly from your pattern for your work so that it really does look like it's a uniform look. To give you another example, this was the example that I was doing earlier that was finished. In the pink areas, I put this floral pattern in it, and I showed you that in the finished team document. But to put that pattern in, it was important that I had a different color there. So in that case, I have pink. And it doesn't matter whether it was pink or not, but by having it a different color, you'll see tomorrow when I demo this, it's very easy to just select all the pink and then replace it. I could have also replaced the dark blue with this pattern, or the gray. As long as they're different colors, it makes it easy to do so. So where you should be working when you get to photo P, you should be painting your character. You should also have a swatch of the pattern that you want to use. And again, that is totally up to you to decide. I will continue working on this throughout the period, and then tomorrow what I'm going to show you how to do is I'm going to replace the red with the colorful pattern that I've already picked. With that, hope you guys are using these videos and working on your projects.